centered down in the city of O'Fallon, Missouri, sits a man, a big man, has that face, someone who you don't want to mess with. A man who has the power of driving a monster truck. A man whose mouth and ego sets aside and absolutely proves that he can back up anything he says by his driving. He is one of the best to ever have done it. Jason Childress. Wait, hold on. Who? Jason Childress? Who is that? Well, I'm going to explain why this guy was actually worth everything and why he is a great driver and better than you thought he was. Born in O'Fallon, Missouri, Jason Childress, his last name at least, sounds very familiar. No, he's not the son of Richard Childress, NASCAR team owner. He's although the brother to Lonnie. Lonnie has been obviously the more successful of the two, considering his drives. He's even driven the Bigfoot truck and has had multiple different trucks he's driven. Although the most success did come from the Bigfoot. However, focusing on Jason, his at least debut would come in Pontiac 1994. However, there's debate on whether or not that was his first actual show, since I've heard rumors that he drove other trucks throughout the 90s. However, this show was in Pontiac in 1994, but because results for the 90s are, well, kind of pointless, we're going to move on to when he next came out to drive. So, pretty much almost 10 years go by, though, from around that. Then, he has a chance of a lifetime. He's driving for Team Gravedigger in 2003. Now, this wasn't, uncommon at all, since they got drivers like Rod Trent, Scott Piper. Oh, boy, this sounds bad. But then again, you also add Gary Porter and Charlie Pauke into the stable, and you can see why this would make a lot more sense. However, there's one difference from Childress compared to the rest of them. He got no TV appearances. From that time period of 2003 to 2004, zero. Now, 2003 is understandable since this was during the lost 2003 season, but from what I know, he never made a stadium appearance in Gravedigger. So, pretty much hurt his chances. And ask any common Macho Man fan, most will probably not even know that he even drove Gravedigger. Some may forget, a majority of them just do not even know that he drove Gravedigger in the first place. So, ultimately, going through results like this is about as fun as, well, watching a Randy Brown freestyle for that matter. So, we're going to move on now to his next truck he drove, which was Bulldozer for the 2005 season. Now, this wasn't the only truck, and I believe this was from the team and stable, but again, the results are really not pretty meaningless in looking at it with the arenas. However, there's one season, though, I want to point out, and this video is mainly portioned around. And why am I telling this guy to be as good as you think I would? 2006. Now, 2006, a brand new truck was built from the superhero type of truck, Batman. Now, ultimately, the year before, they had debuted Superman with Chad Fortune, and that truck became instantly popular and had a growing success. So they decided to make the Batman truck in a very cool, but definitely a radical-looking design. But hey, we'll take it, because it does kind of look like the Batman car that has been used, obviously, in the movies, and made in the truck. Also, it shoots fire, so it looks cool as well. Thank God this was a truck that mainly ran. Unfortunately, they ruined it in 2013. Anyway, going to Jason's season. Now, the debut was actually in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the arena that had a shorter lived life than, well, every single one of them for that matter. Ultimately, in the truck's last show. So, how did racing go? You'd think that, considering Jason Childress' stats, you'd think he'd be miles off the pace and wouldn't really be doing anything. No. In his first actual race, he won the racing for day one in Charlotte. His first drive in Batman, and he won it. So, instantly, you might have something. Although I couldn't track down where he went the week before, going to at least, rather the week after hands of Charlotte. However, he would make his stadium debut in 2006 at Tampa. So you think, he's not going to go long, right? Is he not? Well, he actually made it all the way to the final round. Obviously, going up against Tom Mintz and Maxi. He tried making a run, but it was not enough. But still, some are wondering, who is this peasant in a Batman? How dare he try and challenge that all might of Tom Mintz? Well, he would get that chance again, rather than freestyle, because, well, his freestyle run was okay, I'd say, considering he did tie with Mott's driver Lee O'Donnell, who is driven about everything that you can imagine, playing merry-go-round, like the Dolphins for that matter. And basically, it was a 21. The only problem was Dennis Anderson happened, even though Dennis tried to throw it away by rolling over 7 seconds left. But still, it still worked. Anyways, now we head on to the next week, which, as if you guys maybe will guess, was in Phoenix. So now you think, obviously, this was around the SH Race show. And going into this event, Lindsey Wink had been beating the crap out of the field with his streak. That was 21-0 in racing wins. And now, Jason Childress had to take on that might of racing. And Childress was cooked. He had no chance. There was no way he'd be able to pull this off. Go around the corner, and then never say never. One of the more lost iconic moments in Monster Jam's history. People have been wondering who was going to be the one to end the streak. Nobody had thought it would be this way. They thought it'd be Tom Mintz, or his own boss, Jimmy Cretan, for that matter, as he had almost done it beforehand before knocking over a turning pole in Pontiac, or Dennis Anderson, who tried launching in the field. But no, it's this man, a peasant who no one really knows. Again, the people. Who is this peasant? How dare he challenge and beat Lindsey Wink? Well, don't worry though, he's got to go against Gravedigger. Yeah, to the untrained eye, to the average Earthling, this would be a relative cakewalk for Gravedigger, except that would be the case, considering who is driving it. So, just a little context. Rod Schmidt was at this show in Gravedigger. Now, from 2003 to 2005, he put in some okay performances. It wasn't anything egregious, but it wasn't anything bad. However, in 2006, his performances started to drown itself, and specifically his reputations in the stadiums really started to go downhill. And he wasn't helping matters case out by some of the stupid crap he was doing on the track. So ultimately, how'd it go? Well, obviously, you guys can tell what happened there. And Jason Childress proceeds to give us one of the greatest interviews in history. You don't think it was a good interview?
They told me no matter what, Iron Warrior doesn't win.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna call it the sweet sound of the victory, as well as being, cool. Now, how'd freestyle go? Well, it was overshadowed. He was decent, but couldn't get the win. Then again, that was because a bunch of people had the exact same freaking score for that matter. So, anyways, let's move on to next week. So obviously at this point, many people wondering, could this be the start of something special? Could Childress have an opportunity to make a run? Well, he would be put in the arenas for the rest of the season. However, in Charleston, he would go on to win the Day 1 racing. While the rest results were okay, he was not doing bad. In Yarndale, he ended up winning the Relay. Actually, no, he didn't. He instead decided to roll the thing over for the first time. So it was appropriate enough. Made it to the final round, and was going up against Gravedigger. However, unlike Rod Schmidt, this is Dennis Anderson we're talking about. I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter what you are. You pretty much almost have no hope, unless you do what he did in Atlanta and, frickin' red light. So, obviously, that didn't happen. And Dennis went on to win, as well as every single competition that weekend. So, he goes, so Childress decides to head over to Fresno for the next event. In Day 1, he lost the final round. Reason why? Because he made the same freaking mistake that other drivers had made by, red lighting. He ended up, though, winning all the freestyles from the weekend. Not bad. Then at Calgary, he also went on to win a freestyle as well. At Winnipeg, he ended up losing all 3 freestyles very freaking closely. In fact, one was lost by a friggin' tiebreaker. My God, by a friggin' tiebreaker. So, the last event before, the World Finals was in Belmont. And Childress would go on to have his best performance of the season, winning day 1 and 2 racing while winning all 3 freestyles. And when you think about it, this is the perfect time to build momentum, since this would be his last event before the World Finals. And he ended up getting an invite, likely for his racing win at Phoenix, and also strong performances in other stadium events. So, how did the World Finals go? Well, he didn't qualify that well at all. In fact, he was way down there. He still had a chance to win round 1 since Charlie Parker knocked over the pole. Okay, and he spun that out. Well, that went well, didn't it? So, racing went very poor in an uncharacteristic loss in round 1. Then freestyle came out, and he decided apparently his brain capacity had developed itself maybe by the pressure of being in the World Finals and had left because his first hit he went into this. He was able to slog around and was able to fight through the power for the next 90 seconds with basically just running with our steer since the front end had come off. So that was not exactly ideal. He still got 21 though, which is better than some of the others that ended up going out there. So overall, World Finals, kind of meh. But the rest of the season was actually very good. And that was the 2006 season. Say it was interesting and very adventurous, one thing. However, one thing he did show though is that he had the talent if he could keep to himself, and also had kind of that egotistical, but also very outgoing type of personality. Kind of reminds me of AJ Allmendinger. Well, you know where that dude ended up. So, anyways, you'd think overall the next season he'd come back stronger than ever. No, he retired from the damn sport. So, right at the height of his career, and a chance to improve himself even more, have an even wilder run. So, 2 things. What was his potential later on, maybe? And also, what is he doing now? Well, his potential for me was pretty big, I will say, considering that there's one driver Childress reminds me of, though, a lot. John Cecek. In fact, they actually have very similar looks and driving. Maybe it's because of the truck they were driving, or Batman maybe. But overall, their careers have a very similar type of situation before they even ended up in Batman. And considering they were both definitely very good racers in the stadiums and they're very solid freestylers, who could say that if Childress had stayed, he would have been on to potentially win that World Racing Championship. Yeah, if there are such things as an alternate universe or timeline, in some type of area like that, Jason Childress is a 2-time World Racing Champion instead of Cecek. Instead, he walked away so Cecek could take the glory of being a 2-time champion. How many racing wins and freestyle wins potentially had Childress let slip away in this situation? Because honest to God, there's a chance that he had way more potential than he ever could have been given. However, he stepped away and made that decision. So where is he now? Well, he and his brother Lonnie order to focus on their business, which is the Gateway Classic Mustang, an auto customization shop which was steadily growing in popularity. The brothers also actually run their own YouTube channel centered around their business where they upload occasionally. If I can find that channel, I will try to link it, but there's a high chance I may not be able to find it. So yeah, that's kind of what they're doing. When they're not doing that, specifically Jason isn't, well, he's running in a RC series that you may have heard of before that is kind of insane, that you need just a little bit of etiquette, of talent, and some level of skill to run it and show overall the mightiness of it. Trigger King. So yeah, that was kind of unfunny. But realistically, Jason Childress is a very interesting case, and his career is one of the more interesting. There is a lot of lost potential, in my opinion, and he was a lot better than a lot of people should and honest God pretty much have given him credit for, because considering the potential alone and also some of his interviews. Also, he's one of my favorite drivers to have ever basically been in the sport, considering, I have a love for people who are very outgoing and just overall are kind of just can make it seem funny like that. Oh yeah, also, Iron Warrior is Iron Outlaw, by the way. So anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoy. This is Machi and Fans of the 10 here. And this is a video I've been wanting to make a while. He's one of my personal favorite drivers. Even though most people don't consider him with any truck, especially really Batman or Gravedigger. What do you think of Jason Childress' overall career? Do you think he could have been a two-time champion? Because I believe he could have been and definitely probably should have been. But yeah, that's gonna do it here. The series is back after another long delay. I hope I can start doing the series a little more because I have some cool ideas overall for things. I have a very cool idea coming to look at it. And yeah, that's gonna do it. Anyways, guys, it's Machi and Fans of the 10, and I'll see you guys next time.